Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Director of the Community College Research Center and the next President of Teachers College, Tom Bailey.
Thank you, and good afternoon. It's wonderful to see everybody here. So I'm honored to join all of you for what promises to be a memorable program. So first of all, permit me to begin by welcoming our very special guests, members of the Chow family. Angela Chow, the Honorable Elaine Chow, May Chow, and today's guest of honor, Dr. James S.C. Chow. So this is truly a great day for Teachers College for two reasons. One, because the Chows are here to share an inspiring story that has much to teach us. We'll hear much more about that and from this remarkable family in a few moments. It's also a great day for TC because we're celebrating the launch of the Education for Persistence and Innovation Center, or EPIC. I'm sure you'll know many epic jokes, so I won't start that off yet. Every academic research institution has its centers, but at Teachers College we accord our great research centers a very special status. We give them great latitude and autonomy. We hold them to very high expectations. As a result, their research and programs make a profound difference in the real world. To cite just a few examples, our National Center for Children and Families has helped state governments and nations set standards for early childhood learning, while also making breakthrough discoveries about how poverty affects school and life outcomes for young people. Our Center for Education Equity is a leader in rectifying the imbalances in school financing and rebuilding our nation's focus on citizenship education. Still better, each of these hubs not only does good things outside of Teachers College, but also provides enormous opportunities for our students to work as partners with our talented faculty. I'm especially proud of the work of the center that I have been privileged to lead, TC's Community College Research Center, which helped community colleges ensure that their students complete their programs and go on to successful careers. Perhaps that explains why I'm excited about the launch of EPIC. There's tremendous truth and power in the idea that facing and having to confront challenges and setbacks provides excellent opportunities to learn. No group of college students faces more challenges than community college students, who often arrive having had poor high school educations and who face many economic and practical barriers to achieving their education goals. I've never seen students who are more eager to learn or more grateful to pursue post-secondary education, but the majority of these students who make it through to completion only do so by exercising great persistence. We owe it to community college students to make sure that they have help in facing and learning from their challenges and setbacks, that we teach them how to be persistent in the face of barriers and even of failures, that they don't have to rely on their own innate persistence wherever that may come from. I'm confident that EPIC will help us achieve that goal. So I salute EPIC's founding director, Professor Jiaodong Lin Siegler, for conceiving of a center that can build on that work and for pioneering research on the cultural value of failure. Yes, we all know intuitively that we can learn from our mistakes. But Professor Lin Siegel's genius has been to design research that translates that idea into teaching strategies that produce results. With her study showing that middle school students who learn about the struggles of famous scientists are more likely to stick with science and to see themselves as potential scientists, she has quite literally advanced our ability to turn failure into success. Please welcome Professor Jiaodong Lin Siegel.
Thank you, Tom, for your very kind introduction. This is really a glorious day for Teachers College and for all of you who have been part of our EPIC research. To celebrate this very great occasion, we're also establishing the EPIC Achievement Award for one reason only. We do not only want to do research, we also want to live by example. And we really want to recognize exceptional accomplishments and the societal contribution of an individual who has displayed incredible courage in overcoming adversity and also in character to share his personal stories of failure and that can teach many of us and many of the generations to come. And our inauguration recipient of the EPIC Achievement Award is Dr. James Chow. And on hand to share his remarkable story is Dr. Chow, joined by three of his very extraordinary daughters, and is started by eldest daughter, our Honorable Secretary of Transportation, Elaine Chow, and then by the third daughter, the May Chow, and by the youngest daughter, Angela Chow. And together, they're going to share with us their triumphant stories about how they have overcome a lot of difficulties to come to the United States and to be where they are today. So to keep everything running smoothly, and we would encourage all of you to write down your questions during this talking, and then we're going to collect your questions and to present to Dr. Chow and his family to address your questions. Afterwards, I have three very distinguished colleagues sitting there. They're going to join you for a brief discussion and also explore the implications this family story has for research, for education, for academic achievement. So now, please join me in extending a very warm welcome to Dr. James Chow and his daughters, Elaine Chow and May Chow and Angela Chow.
Professor Lin, would you like me to make the presentation?
Yes, please.
Am I next?
Let me look at it. So, I thought that Daddy would be the first. No, you will be the first. Okay. So, our Honorable Secretary of Transportation, Elaine Chow, the eldest daughter of Dr. Chow, is going to be our next presenter.
Is the screen ready? Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Lynn, for that very nice introduction. Congratulations also to Columbia Teachers College for launching this wonderful program. This research center is going to be really helpful in helping students develop skills to prepare and persevere through challenges and obstacles in school and also, more importantly, in life. My father, Dr. James S.C. Chow, has just been honored with the EPIC Inaugural Innovation Award. And I'm so pleased to be accompanied by my two sisters, May and Angela. And May's significance in being here will be evident as I go through the life journey of my father. My parents' life journey is one of challenges, but of triumphs. And I can think of no person whose life exemplifies more the goals of the EPIC program than my father, Dr. James S.C. Chow. My story, my family story, is a quintessential American story. And it's also a story of enduring love. My mother came from a distinguished family in Anhui province in China. My father, a handsome, very capable young man, grew up in a small farming village in Jiading, now still part of Shanghai. Under ordinary circumstances, these two young people of such different socioeconomic backgrounds would never have been able to meet. But because of the Chinese Civil War and the resulting social turmoil, which tore down societal norms, they were introduced by schoolmates, fell in love, was very chaste though, and embarked upon an incredible journey together. And despite so many challenges, every challenge that they've encountered, their love never wavered. They remained true to their family, to their faith, and to each other. So I hope you will let me share their life with you, because it's emblematic, again, of the purpose of the new launch of EPIC. So let me start. Here's a picture of my father at the age of 8 in his native village. This is another picture of my father in his daily life in his native village. You can see how precious these photographs are. My father is the one in the back, and even though my father came from a very modest background, he came from an educated family, and his parents emphasized education. His father, my grandfather, was a school principal who devoted his whole life to helping rural children in the rural areas, access education. This photograph shows my father's natural leadership capabilities. You can see him in the middle, in the picture, in the first row, where he's the captain of his basketball and soccer team. And my father won scholarships after scholarships to enable him to go to school. He was an excellent student and a superb athlete on top of that. I just thought of something. My family can't see. Do you want to go back to your seats? That might be easier.
Do you want to sit back here, or is it okay? Or do you want me to turn your chair for you?
You don't want to sit over there?
Thank you.
This is a wonderful picture. This is a picture when my parents first met. In 1949, my father returns from college, and he goes to visit his old high school, alma mater, Jiading High School, number 1. There, the school was abuzz with talk about this beautiful young girl whose family had just moved from Nanjing, the capital. And so James and Ruth were introduced through schoolmates. This is the first picture of my mother and my father together. My father, once again, is the center of the attention. He's a big man on campus. He's the middle in the first row seated. My mother's family left their ancestral estate due to the chaos of the Chinese Civil War. They went first to Nanjing, and that's a name I think many of you students should know about. The rape of Nanjing, if you do not know about that, you can Google it, where times were unsafe, and they sought safety in Shanghai, which is how she got to Jiading, a suburb of Shanghai. And as you can tell, she's the one, third on the right, the first one on the right, standing up. At age 18, she was subdued. Life was already very hard. This is a great picture of my father with his parents and a cousin. My father is in the back. Do you know why? Because he's a great photographer, and his uncle gave him a second-hand camera, which had a remote control. So my father loved technology even then, and anything new. So he would set up a photo, put the timer on, and run to the back of the picture. So that's why he's always in the back of the picture. You can see that my grandfather is very tall. He's 6'2". And my grandmother was 5 feet 5 inches. Again, very tall for a Chinese woman. At the, oops. This is a picture of my father at the age of 21, about to graduate from college. He's studying marine engineering, and he poses for a shot with his parents. This is the last picture he will have. with his parents. This is a picture of my father at the age of 21, and he goes aboard a ship to gain the necessary seagoing experience to finish up his college degree. He took this picture of himself, not knowing that it would become so precious to his parents. So he goes on a ship, and on this trip, his ship goes to Guangzhou province at the south of China. You can see the confidence of this 21-year-old, so full of life and vitality. Little did he know at this time that he would not be able to return home to his village after this journey. The Chinese Civil War resulted in a different government. All the ports were blockaded. His ship could not return. My father never saw his father again. This is a picture in December 1949. He's now alone. He has no relatives, he has no friends. He is in Taiwan. He volunteers for war duty because that was a way for him to have room and board on a ship. There was no other way. Jobs are very scarce. In this particular picture, he's on a merchant marine vessel in Jinmen, a war zone. The ship is taking depth soundings in the water in advance of the Taiwan military ships, one of which is pictured in the background. Ships can run aground. There are mines in the water. Bombs are falling. It was dangerous. Ahead of my father, to the right of his, as follow his eyesight, is a landmass. That's mainland China. My father volunteered for this duty not only because of the lack of jobs and the need to get a job, but also being very sentimental. He wanted to be where he could be closer to the mainland, where he can close his eyes and imagine his parents going about their daily activities in their native village. So my father's very sentimental. Here, my father ascends very quickly the ranks because he's smart, he's energetic, he's diligent, and he has a wonderful attitude. Nothing is beneath him. He quickly becomes second officer, and here he is on watch. This is another picture of him as a second officer. You can tell that even though he was all alone in the world, he displays such confidence, vitality, and hope for the future. Now let me switch to my mother. And as I'm telling you all of this, for those of you that are not familiar with modern Chinese history, you're also learning modern Chinese history. This is a picture of my mother, Ruth Mulan Chu, Zhu Mulan, at the age of 18. This is her at a high school in Nanjing, at the country's capital. As mentioned, her story is different. She came from a distinguished and prosperous family in Anhui province. Their estate on horseback took days to cover. They left Anhui province, their ancestral estate, because of the turmoil due to the Chinese Civil War. And they resettled in Nanjing, but soon had to move again, seeking safety and security in Shanghai. In Jiading, outside of Shanghai, in Jiading No. 1 High School, here's a picture of my mother with her new classmates. And I love this picture because it's a group of teenagers having fun. And this is a picture of a very famous lake in Jiading. It's still there today. Here, my mother is rowing a boat with her classmate and her classmate's boyfriend. Very racy for those days. But it was this couple who introduced my father and my mother to each other. Little did they know, in 1949, these idyllic days would soon be over, and the Chinese Civil War would result in my mother and her family relocating to Taiwan. So what happened? Well, my father arrived in Taiwan, as mentioned, but he could not forget Ruth, and he thought, someone with Ruth's background must have gone to Taiwan. So he spends a year and a half looking for her. Now, I don't know how many guys these days look a year and a half for a gal, but my father did. He finally finds her and starts their courtship. But it's not that easy because my maternal grandparents know nothing about him. It's like my big fat Greek wedding. The parents are saying, we don't know him. What's his background? We can't find out anything about him. So my father had to win over not only my mother, Ruth, but her parents as well. And so this is a photograph of my parents courting in Taiwan. And on November 12, 1951, they're married. They start a family, and my father, James, continues to ascend rapidly in his career. He becomes the youngest sea captain at the age of 29. Here he is on home leave aboard his ship with his wife and his firstborn adorable daughter. But sea life is very difficult. He was away at sea a lot of times, and my parents decided to seek a better life. So my father decides to take the national examination. It's 4 days, given once a year. You don't get a second chance. He wanted to take the exams to get a better life. And this is a photo of his pass into the national examinations. Well, as you've heard during lunch, he scores #1, breaks all of the records, and because of this, he has an opportunity to go abroad. And where do you think he wanted to come? America. My mother was then 7 months pregnant, but she supported his decision to come to America to pursue a better life for our family. And because he had no money, he had to work his way across the ocean to America. He was a sea captain, so he piloted a ship from Taipei to Tokyo Bay to Vancouver, and at Vancouver, he disembarked to take the plane to Portland, and from Portland to New York City. And here is a photo of all his shipmates coming to bid him farewell at the port of Vancouver. He arrives in New York, and it's tough. He doesn't speak the language, or he thinks he does, but and so my father works 3 jobs to make ends meet. He worked also as a waiter. And we actually have a photograph of that, but it's not here. And he learned English from a Christian couple by the name of Gordon and Ruth Tewksbury. For those of you who know anything about Chinese language, you've got to Google Gordon Tewksbury. He was a son of missionaries. And even though he was white, he spoke perfect Mandarin Chinese. And so my father wanted to go into Columbia, and he loved this campus. So he would come here all the time. He would find solace here. He would find it peaceful. And he looked at all these students rushing about to go to classes. And he so wished that he could be a part of this campus. So, does anybody remember or see any of these? Columbia University, he's pointing to the sign on the ground. 1. Do you recognize these places? I'm not from Columbia, so there's one on the left. And he is on campus. Our family was separated for 3 years before my father was able to bring my 2 sisters, my mother and me to America. By that time, daughter number 3, May Chow here, was already 3 years old. The ocean journey took 37 days aboard a cargo ship to come to America. This is a picture of my parents on the first night of their reunion. And this is a picture of our first evening in New York City, July 18, 1961. When we landed in America, it was the first time that my father
saw his third daughter, May, who was sitting on my mother's lap. Our initial years in America were very difficult. This is a photo of our small family outside the first apartment building we lived in. A small one-bedroom apartment at 14155 85th Road in Jamaica, Queens. I still remember. And I love this picture because, as I mentioned, our initial years here were so difficult. But I love this picture because my mother is so resolute, so determined to help her husband and her family establish a foothold in this new country. And this photograph shows the end of a wonderful day that the family enjoyed in Central Park. We had so little, so we went to all the free things and places that we could in New York City. Central Park, Coney Island, Orchard Beach, the Botanical Gardens, all the museums. My father was just tireless in taking us to all these places. And this is how we learned about America. Soon afterwards, my father got his MBA from St. John's University. And this is a picture of him and my mother on his graduation day. After graduating, my father establishes his company. And this is a picture of my parents as they met with some success and they go back home to Taiwan to see their friends. They've not been back in more than 8 years. In 1972, President Nixon opens up China. My father was among the very first Americans to go back to China with the sole purpose of reuniting with his mother and bring her back to America. He had not seen her for 23 years. And here's a picture finally of my grandmother with our family outside of church in America. My father is actually a very, very progressive man. Not only did he empower his daughters, but he was very supportive of his wife, our mother. Here she is finally able to finish her education, which was interrupted by the Civil War in China. And she's graduating with a master's degree in Asian Studies and History at St. John's University at the age of 51. We're very blessed. My parents worked very, very hard, and we've been very fortunate. So here's a picture of one part of our residence in Westchester County. And this is when daughter number 5, Grace Chow, got married. The arc of my father's journey is not one that he could have foreseen when he was a young student who left China in such turmoil in 1949. But he subsequently becomes very successful, but not in the ways you think. He becomes successful in life's greatest treasures, and that's the love of his family, the respect of his friends and peers, and an impeccable reputation, and a generosity to help others. He becomes friends with presidents. Here's a picture of him previously with President George H.W. Bush, and then President George W. Bush in the Oval Office, President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Here's a picture of President Hu Jintao, and this is a historic picture. This is the only picture of the President and First Lady of China and the President and the First Lady of the United States together in one room with my parents in the Blue Room in the White House. This was taken during his visit on April 20th, 2006. There's also a photograph of President Ma Ying-jeou which got left out. But, oh, and of course, we've got a picture of my father and me with President Obama as well, several. I like this one the best. And there's also the picture of my father and me on the occasion of President Xi's visit to America. And then, of course, there's a picture of my father and President Trump on Air Force One. My father's company is now 54 years old. It's an international shipping company, respected for impeccable service, reliability, and integrity. And he and my mother are dedicated and generous philanthropists. The most recent of his philanthropic projects is the establishment and opening of the Ruth Mulan Chu Chow Center at Harvard University. This is the first building named after a woman and the first building named after an Asian American in Harvard's history. The purpose is not to talk about my father. My father's goal is to encourage others to give, and also, because we are Asian Americans, to lift the image of Asian Americans in the United States. And he, of course, has many, many scholarship funds to encourage the future leaders of our country. In gratitude and appreciation, Harvard has created a digital display on our family, and the web address is www.library.hbs, and it talks about my parents, because as you know, my mother passed away on August 2nd, 2007. This year will be the 10th anniversary, and so we'll hope that you'll visit the website and learn more about her life. In closing, I want to say today's launch of the EPIC Center could not have found a more fitting individual than my father, Dr. James S.C. Chow. But his story and his life of overcoming setbacks, adversities, is an inspiring example to all of us. That's the purpose. It's not to talk about my family, but it's to talk about how perseverance and determination can forge a new destiny. So as we move to the fireside chat with Dr. Chow, would you mind if I ask my father, Dr. Chow, to come, oh, and he should probably sit there, say a few words, and then have my sisters, May and Angela, interview him, and then open it up for Q&A. Thank you so much.
You can, is it all right if he sits here? Absolutely. You can sit right there and talk to everybody. Or would you rather go on? What do you think?
Sarah, do you have her remark? Yeah.
Okay.
These are some notes.
Thank you so much for it's not my personal family story. It's the international immigrants story. Because I see most here, I think, like me, first generation immigrants, you have had lots of opportunity and also lots of challenges. And I hope by this story, hope you regard it as a challenge as a unique opportunity. Make your future more enriched, make your contribution much enlarged to not only make yourself better, make the world better. So I think we have a chance. Let's chat together. You have any question, we are ready to discuss, share with you together. Thank you. Let's clap.
Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here with all of you today. Thank you for having us. So the first question would be, what was your first, quote, failure, unquote, in America?
What was your first failure in America?
Uniquely, fantastically, and my first failure is in Columbia University. Columbia maintains very high prestige, not only, of course, internationally, especially in China. Columbia is liked by Chinese. So my first wishing and also first goal is coming to United States to study in Columbia. And the only thing is this: Columbia's tuition is very high. I didn't know how to get the scholarship, so I worked very hard. Fortunately, at the age of 29, I already became the youngest seamaster for the ship. In 1957, my salary is $400. $400 to you maybe still is not a big amount, but it's a teacher, school teacher, only $10 a month. I can $400 a month. You can see what kind of income I have. So I went here and I registered. Eventually they gave me the audit because of waiting for my transcript. But my transcript is in China. At that time, no relationship. I can't get it. So I wait. I seek school's understanding. Hope the school give me some kind of exceptional condition. But the rule is the rule. So I never got into the school as a regular student in Columbia. So I was very, very disappointed. But I never give up. So I seek all the schools. So if you mention all the schools in New York, I all tried. And the results all the same. They need the credential. Finally, through a priest's understanding. And he said, well, you don't have diploma, you don't have certificate to show your credential. But the one thing you should mention to people, you broke the records for the national examination in China. That's the same thing. Not many people can get it. Finally, still some school, they don't get it. Finally, St. John's accepted me. Yeah. So finally I got the MBA. And this MBA, United States, seek you because I have no diploma. So I made up all the credits, including American law, American government. These to me, not interested. But eventually, I found it helped me a lot. Because I know in the American law, because I know in American condition. So I had access to the US government. So my first business is a contract with the United States Labor, Department of Labor.
Agriculture.
Agriculture. Yeah. So I made a very good business. Meantime, I saved lots of money for the United States because the United States wants to shift the rice going to Vietnam. The rice itself about $50 a ton. But shifting 1 ton rice to United States, Sacramento, United States, San Francisco, $100. So I have a school in Columbia. He is in charge of the Department of Agriculture. He remembered Charlie. He don't remember James. He only knows Charlie. So this guy knows the shipping. Maybe I can ask him help. So because of this, I made the whole contract. And people asking $100 that time. I think I need only 50. Even $50, I can make a big profit because my cost is on $10. The ship is only about $100, $50, $100,000, $150,000. So once I bring a cargo, I can buy 2 ships. So within half a year, I become a big ship owner. From 0, I become 8. So all of this. But I want to share with you, it's a new idea. When the opportunity comes, we always can say, we are ready. So I hope you have enjoyed with me the principle. Let's prepare ourselves. When the opportunity comes, we are ready. We can do it. Thank you.
Angela? Good afternoon, everybody. I'm the youngest daughter. So our next question is, someone can say that you have quite a heavy Chinese accent. So how do you deal with failure with such a heavy Chinese accent? Okay.
In the beginning, I did encounter lots of difficulties because my English is very heavy Chinese accent. By the way, I'm a country boy. Even Chinese, I have accent too. And I feel same difficulty is boundaries. You can't change it. You can't change, but you can shift it. Because of my heavy accent language, I using my sincerity to earn people's faith, interest to me. Then because of my accent, they will concentrate heavily to listen to me. So right away, I turned the difficulty to the advantage. So this is another one I will share with you. Don't be discouraged with your accent or your shortage. Just try to change it, utilizing our wisdom. Talking about wisdom is confidence. Every day, every time, we have many things encounter difficulty. Only thing best that we can solve is the Lord given confidence. Believe yourself. You can share with others. With a good heart, always can earn interest from others.
So following up on the theme of difficulties, you welcome challenges even today. Why? Weren't you tired or even sick of challenges?
So you've talked about a lot of adversity Now you're 90 years old, but you still encourage and face these difficult challenges. Why? Why bother? Don't you want to do something easy?
I deeply think this is a big question. In this world, everything is based on the experience. More experience, more deemed important and essential. But only the age is higher, the less value. That's terrible. If today, unless volunteer, I want to apply a job, it's very hard to get the job accepted. I'm so old. But because of this, let's have confidence. We still can overcome it. And we have experience, and we are more mature now. And we go through so many things. We see things specially, not for myself anymore. It's always thinking, share with others. In this regard, again, you need experience. So my age is not too bad. You can share with us. Today, I would like to tell you, to share this, you have to keep good health. We need not only high age, we also need good health. How to keep good health? Very important. We have to keep good heart and good thinking. Take everything easy and make yourself the older, the happier, can enjoy more. So you are all young. Start now. I think when you are at my age, you are more active, more vigorous. Thank you.
Back to me. Ready? This is a good question. You have often said that Mommy is the love of your life, Mrs. Ruth Mulan Chu Chow. Without her, you would not have been able to make this wonderful life of yours. So why don't you share with everybody a little bit about Mommy?
I see many young people here, and I think life is very important to have the loved ones. First, parents, love parents, but naturally, parents will go first. This is nature. Second one is family members, brothers, sisters, Lord, may they each individually ask you to be independent. They all have their family. Only very close, it's become the soulmate, is a husband and wife. It's very unique, and I hope you all enjoy it. And my life is very, very different from others. First, I come in from the farm family. Finally, I went to one of the best universities in China. It's very unique. Till 1949, lots of people because of the turmoil of the Civil War. Everybody lost a job, lost a life. But I think I wanted to show to my parents. She asked me to be a good son. At least I want to do that. So I had a best to be a good man, and also very thankful. And I met my wife. Actually, no chance we become husband and wife, because I'm coming from a very common family. My father is the principal of elementary school. It's a very common family. My wife is coming from a very rich family. How rich they are, I can make an example. They have so there are 2 soldiers to protect their family. And their property, using the hose, then from the morning, then all the area. After evening, coming back, only see 3/3 and 4th. Still didn't see all. You can see so big. Now, Ruth Cho. She's a very unique person. She feels these are all outside things. In one night, in one evening, so many land, property lost overnight. Only thing is important, education. So she lets the kids, most important to let the kids. And all the kids, either Columbia or other good school. By the way, I miss Columbia. But I miss Columbia. But now, today, I'm in Columbia. Also, I had 2 PhD from Columbia, my daughter. Number 2.
Number 5.
Number
Grace.
number 4, number 5.
Number 4, number 5.
Number 4
Doctorates.
is at law school. Here's the LLD. Number 5.
PhD.
Yeah. So we always emphasize the education. Now, I think most important, and husband and wife, let's make the closer, dear, and enjoy the life. Usually like me, when Ruth was here, I never had this, I take granted. But once she left, I feel so important, so important. And I also feel you have to have a good family. You good family, you have good wife, husband, then you have a good children. You had a good children, you will love your wife, your husband even more. It's a cycle, good cycle. Yeah. I think you see today, you had a chance to touch this topic. Once we can enjoy this, I think it's worth everything, worth life. Yeah.
Thank you.
So talking about love and family. When you were starting your career, you had 3 daughters born in Taiwan. Subsequently, you and Mommy had 3 daughters born in America. 6 daughters overall. What do you wish to tell us about them?
Yeah. Again, this is talking about the family background. I'm the only son in my family, so I like sisters, brothers. When I was young, I never had a supporter. Argue with people, they all have brothers and sisters working together, and I'm alone. So I always dreamed more children. But Mrs. Cho, different. She has 5 sisters and brothers, so she doesn't care. But she liked one word. She said, children is not of me. Children is the property of the God. We are the manager. Regardless, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the Lord's property. We have to take good responsibility to take care of it. Again, maybe you would say, I have 6 daughters. Many people worried about how could you make a wedding for them. And again, to me, boy or girl is the same. As a matter of fact, up to today, I feel daughter is no less than boy, no less than son. They are more close. You can see 20 years apart, they are so close. And they all have different ideas, different thinking, different field to approach, to achieve. But you can see they stay here very, very close. Because when we have one word in home, once for all for one. Once for all for one. So when we family have occasion, we all together. And second daughter is in England now. And I think we should congratulations to her. Her son is a soccer player.
The U.S. national team under 17.
She is the team leader. And number 4 today didn't come because she is in Stanford. She's over there, established a scholarship for the family. So we are really very blessed. In Chinese, 特你们的福. I have very good family, very happy family.
Angela, last question. And it's the last question, Daddy. I think you should share with all the students in the audience how to deal with failure or setbacks in life.
You're so lucky you have failure. If you don't have failure, I think it's so sad. No stimulation, no encouragement, no chance to think deeper, to think further. So, if not yet, change the mind. More difficulty, more opportunity, more achievement, and more satisfaction. Hope you always in the improvement with the difficulty. 我们中国人有 Chinese say， 只要成功，与自己指定人，不要怕 ，do not be afraid of the difficulty. Only thing is be strong, be confident, and let's take the opportunity to be nice, for the future, for the prospect. Thank you.
What an incredible. So Dr. Chow's life journey furnished us with a case study for learning from failure and overcoming adversity. So next, in that spirit, my three very distinguished colleagues who study failure or think about failure in my husband's case and write about failure are going to join us to talk about how this unbelievable, incredible case of dealing with failure, a family case, have implications for research and for education and for Columbia University. So now let's welcome my three colleagues to come to share their reaction. So let me briefly introduce our three panelists. And the first person is Dr. Stuart Feinstein, who is also the Associate Director for EPIC Center. And then he is a biologist from biological science. And the second person is Dr. Robert Ziegler, who happened to be my husband. And he is our incoming JCAP Schiff professor, foundation professor at Teachers College starting September. And then the last person is Jonathan Winner. He is our very distinguished professor from journalist department at Columbia University. So from three perspectives, you're gonna hear how Dr. Chow's cases, the whole story had great implications for our research, education, and inspiring many of our future generations to overcome their failures to succeed.
So of course it's a kind of a classic story and a remarkable story, and it accentuates perseverance as an important characteristic, an important step to success. But I think even more importantly for me personally about this is the notion of what Gertrude Stein called a failure that requires no excuse, failure as an end in itself. And I think it's Dr. If you don't mind, can I call you Captain Chow? I just feel like Captain is the word that really, not doctor. So, I mean, he really is a captain, right? In so many ways. So, and I think that what this personifies really is not just perseverance in the face of failure, but an understanding that failure is simply an integral part of life. That you accept failure, not reward failure if it turns into success. But I think the real strength, and the real strength in this story, is that failure was just part of life for Captain Chow. And that's really the lesson for me to take from this.
So, one of the functions of research is to push below the surface. Researchers, the one thing they all have in common, no matter what they study, is asking why. And then again, why? And then again, why? We're a lot like 2-year-olds in that respect. And listening to the very interesting talks that you all gave and the very interesting questions that you answered, I'm still left with a desire to get further below the surface to answer some of the why questions. Because you said our family is based on love. That's wonderful, but many families are based on love. You said our family values education the most highly. Many families value education the most highly. You said that the rock-solid relationship between Dr. Chow and his wife was the foundation of the family. But quite a few families are like that. So I'm still looking for the secret ingredient. So there's something that your family did, not just in business. I think there are a fair number of extremely successful business people, but how many of them also have 6 children, all of whom are remarkably distinguished in different ways? You clearly are doing something right that almost no one else knows how to do. What is it? What are you doing?
He's not telling you.
So, do you have to go one level a little bit deeper, do you have any further comments?
Yes.
It's on many levels, by the way.
Level is the base foundation. But level is the foundation. Level is the base. But the level, like anything else, you need somebody to lead. You need people to follow. You can't do alone. Like my situation, very fortunate, lot of special blessing. I have very good wife. She is the leader. She is not the leader for family. She is the leader for my relatives. She is the leader of my church. She is the leader of my friends. She rarely talk. But when she talk, she always talk something. And also based on Chinese philosophy and Christianity. These 2 things combined together, I think the strength is hard to tell you by the word, and also just by action. Yeah. So I think, and you can see my 6 daughters. Last one, and is 20 years old. They are so close. And they are so close. It's so their mommies work on and work on it. Yeah.
That's an incredible ingredient. So,
I teach at Columbia Journalism School, and I teach my students to find extraordinary people who can carry a story and can convey a lesson about science or nature or medicine. Those are the topics that I teach, writing about those topics. What you and your daughters have done today is you have shared with us an extraordinary story that would not have touched us so deeply if we had read about it in the abstract. If you hadn't been able to open up to us and share on such a personal level your story and your family's story. And it's a lesson, I hope, to any other writers in the room, the power of a personal story to teach others and to inspire others. So I want to thank you for that.
What's your time? Can I ask one quick question? That's fine.
I'm just checking. Yeah, you're fine.
So there's just one other thing that struck me about all of this, and that is now you have a significant philanthropy, you have a lot of philanthropic activities, but it was also clear from the story we were told today that you've been a generous person for a long time. You're generous towards your family, you're generous, extremely generous towards your wife. I'm guessing you were generous towards your employees as well. And I wonder in what way failure and struggle creates generosity. In what way those are realized.
That's an interesting question.
Your whole life is generous. So how do you think a person's struggle helps them with generosity? Or how important a role did it play for you?
I have a very good family education. I was born in a farm family, but according to Chinese standard, it's a very well established family because my grandfather is a doctor, and she's always helping people without asking people to pay doctor fee, never. If you have, volunteer. This is making me feel the importance of helping people. Then my father, he is a school teacher in China, especially during the war, during the Second World War, Sino-Japanese War. We lost everything. No food, no clothes, but my father still tried to help people. And two people he found in the village, no food to eat, so she asked to come into my house to eat. So my father, my mother cooked the rice for them, only rice and salt, no others. Then suddenly, my father bring another two coming. Now my mother said, Daddy, these two persons' rice I borrowed from neighbor, and I have no more now. You know what my father said? Let's share it. If you can find it, let's share. At least nobody become hungry. That's the spirit. You're poor, you still can help. And I think this spirit during the war and more sample happened like that. For instance, during the Second World War and after Korean War, I was over there. The American generosity, and also make example to teach local people become generous. It's contagious.
Contagious.
It's contagious. Yeah. When you feel help people, it's becoming the happiness. Become it's a rewardless reward. Your thinking is different. Because after all, we are all brothers and sisters. Yeah. This is my feeling. This is my concept and believing. Thank you.
Can we have another round of applause for our distinguished panelists and for the Chow family? Now, Teachers College is known for many things, but one value that we uphold is hospitality. And in that spirit, I would like to ask the audience to remain seated to give the Chows a chance to depart the Millbank Chapel. And let's again thank you for an outstanding event. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you very much. It was a very terrific
Yes, I thought it was very interesting. The difference between Asian and Western cultural education is that critical thinking is very important. So you ask the questions. It's more important to ask the questions than to have the right answers. Which is,
Oh boy, do I like this person.
Which is the Asian way of thinking.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Are you sure you're in politics and not academic?
Thank you so much.
College Research Center on July 1st. I will become the president of Teachers College. We're here to celebrate the opening of the EPIC Center, which is a center which is based on the idea that failure is a crucial part of life, that we can take advantage of failure to go on to further success, but that we also have to that won't just happen on its own. So the idea of the EPIC Center is that it will work out ways in which we can help people, teach people to be able to take the failures that they have, to use those to become more successful.
Yeah,
Could you please say something to the Chinese students, because so many Chinese students, they worry about in the future?
Certainly. Well, I know that Chinese students have and continue to face many problems, just as our students do here in the United States. I understand many Chinese students here are, facing many challenges. Many of them have to learn a new language and work in another language in a different culture. They're far from their families. It takes a long time to get home, and they need to be able to understand that they can take those challenges and they can use those challenges to actually be more successful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.